Manappuram Online Gold Loan Smart hai.
Manappuram Finance Limited presents Unique Times Conclave, powered by Federal International Chamber Forum, Alcazar Watches, DQ T-shirts, DQ Soap, an event by Pegasus Global Pvt Ltd.
We have gathered here for an inspiring celebration, the Manappuram Unique Times Conclave, where ideas meet innovation and vision shapes the future. And now, as we are about to kickstart the scintillating evening, here I am taking a moment to express a heartfelt gratitude to the supporters of Unique Times Business Conclave and Excellence Award 2025, a main title sponsor, Manappuram Finance Limited, powered by FICF, Alcazar Watches, DQ T-shirts, DQ 78 TFM Grade 1 Soap, and Parakat Resorts. Our outdoor media partner, Aishwarya Outdoor Media, photography partner, Image Factory, our production partner, Aksha & Co, and the event is conducted by Pegasus Global Pvt Ltd. And now, since we have opened the doors to a very, very meaningful and scintillating celebrations ahead, we are now taking the moment to set a meaningful beginning for this evening as we are commencing with the ceremonial lamp lighting ceremony as a symbol of knowledge, hope, and the spark of new beginnings. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly privileged to be joined by a distinguished panel of dignitaries for this special moment. And now, let me avail this opportunity to warmly welcome our honored guests to the stage for the lamp lighting ceremony. It's my absolute pleasure and privilege to welcome Dr. Ajit Ravi, founder of Pegasus, the visionary mind behind today's event, and a true pioneer in entrepreneurship and empowerment. Let's give it up for Dr. Ajit Ravi. With immense happiness and pleasure, let me now welcome Sri VP Nandakumar, Chairman and Managing Director of Manappuram Finance, an inspiring leader whose vision continues to transform lives and businesses across the nation. We are also welcoming Mr. Hari Velur, Executive Vice President at ISAF Small Finance Bank, a seasoned banking leader driving financial inclusion and digital transformation across retail and branch banking. Let me now wholeheartedly welcome Sri Keshav Mishra, CEO and co-founder of 8byte, a visionary tech entrepreneur driving innovation in the BFSI sector through AI-powered financial infrastructure at 8byte. And now, with immense happiness and pleasure, we are recording a warm welcome to Sri Bobby Thomas Verghese, Associate Director at EY Global Delivery Services and International Tax Strategist, leading digital transformation and cross-border tax solutions across the MENA region. And now we are welcoming Sri Nikhil KG, CEO of Pendat Securities, a financial expert dedicated to advancing wealth creation and financial literacy. With immense happiness and pleasure, we are also welcoming CA Vivek Krishna Govind, Senior Partner at Varma & Varma Chartered Accountants, a distinguished financial leader known for his visionary contributions to business, leadership, and community development. And now, it's my absolute pleasure to bring on stage Srimati Jepita Ajit, Managing Director of Pegasus Global Pvt Ltd, leading its strategic growth and operations. On stage, we are joined by an eminent panel of dignitaries. And once again, let me request all our dignitaries to kindly step towards the lamb and to have a very auspicious beginning for this wonderful evening ahead. lighting ceremony, we have marshaled a very wonderful beginning to this evening, wholeheartedly thanking all our respected dignitaries and requesting them to kindly take their seats down as we will be proceeding further. A warm welcome to all the lovely guests who have marked their valuable presence here for this wonderful evening. And now to light up this evening with the vision and inspiring words, I request all of you to kindly join me in welcoming Dr. Ajit Ravi Pegasus as he will be delivering the welcome address and will be officialing all our lovely guests to this wonderful evening. Once again requesting Dr. Ajit Ravi to kindly come over the stage and to deliver the welcome address. With a big round of applause, let's welcome Dr. Ajit Ravi, the one man who made this evening possible, an inspiring leader and a visionary. And over to Dr. Ajit Ravi.
It's my privilege to welcome the dignitaries here, especially my patron. I normally say that, I don't believe in going to temple and all, but I worship one person, that is Nandakumar sir. He is always there for me. If I've reached anywhere, it's just because of him. Welcome, sir. And, you all know that it's not very easy to be on time. We try to maintain time always. And I don't want to prolong my speech. Welcome all dignitaries and whomever come here on our invitation. Thank you so much.
Although being short and crisp, he has very wonderfully delivered a warm welcome note. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving forward, and now it's time for me to welcome a very, very special presence among us tonight. Our chief guest, Dr. Ajit Ravi, had already mentioned his name, a visionary leader who had transformed a small family venture into one of India's leading non-banking finance companies with over 5,000 branches nationwide. Under his guidance, the organization diversified into microfinance, home loans, and SME lending, while also championing community welfare through extensive education, healthcare, and social initiatives. A distinguished figure in global service organizations and the financial sector, he continues to shape India's economic and social landscape with innovation, integrity, and inclusive growth. Undoubtedly, he is an icon of purpose-driven leadership and legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our chief guest, Sri VP Nandakumar sir. And here we are about to listen to his valuable words. Sri VP Nandakumar sir, let me wholeheartedly welcome you to kindly come over and deliver a few words.
So good afternoon to all of you. Let me congratulate Dr. Ajit Ravi for arranging this conclave, which is very relevant today, that is digital banking and cashless economy. For the first time, he has brought in many things to Kochi, from pageant address to many things here. Nowadays, he has the focus in arranging various conclaves of relevance of the day, and as a part of that, this month he is arranging a conclave on digital banking, taxation in the cashless economy, and he is able to get outstanding speakers, outstanding panelists for every session I have seen. So, a young man with a lot of enterprising spirit. And this conclave on digital banking, taxation and cashless economy. Let me start with cashless economy. We may be one of the few countries in the world which has issued digital currency, even though India has not been very aggressive, has not turned very aggressive in digital currency. Hopefully, with some stability somewhere, I hope digital currency is going to be the order of the day. And payment system, UPI, and many innovations, we are on the top of the world. So, we are growing at a rate of 6.2% and fourth largest economy in the world. This year, we have reached 4 trillion US, we are a 4 trillion economy, and we expect that to touch or cross 30 trillion when we celebrate the centennial year of our independence. So, the digital thrust, particularly on AI, will definitely have a very positive impact. What I have read somewhere is AI, its use, its emphasis in India, grow the GDP by another 1%. So GDP is, there is no choice, AI, there is no choice today. Gen AI, agentic AI, these are put into use in everyone's life today. Whether it is banking, whether it is in any business, healthcare, anywhere. So the world is going digital. So today world is very unpredictable. What is relevant, which profession is relevant today, how far it is going to be relevant tomorrow is it's anyone's guess. So no clue. So this while throwing disruption, along with that, it gives opportunities. Our youth has taken many innovative steps in this direction. And the advantage of the young India is going to help our country in a big way. In banking, digital banking, particularly in the last mile credit delivery, financial inclusion, this is playing a very important role. Digital banking is playing an important role. Banking of yesteryears is no more relevant today. Every day innovation is happening. I recall a meeting called by the Department of Financial Affairs, Government of India, where the finance minister has passed a remark that the last mile credit delivery, while banks are providing wholesale funding, the retail and last mile credit delivery is more effectively done by NBFCs. And in that, NBFCs are ahead of banks in the use of digital technology, AI, etc., etc. So, it's a participation. So, digital banking includes the last mile credit delivery also. The customer experience is enhanced, customer underwriting is enhanced, more of a predictive nature, using various data from various sources. And the life and economy has become data-driven today. So I am setting a context for a panel discussion by experts in various fields. I congratulate Ajit Ravi for organizing this, which is very, very relevant, current, and also very important in everyone's life. Thank you.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, VP Nandakumar sir had already mentioned about the conclave that is online. And now it's time for one of the most awaited segments of the evening, the Unique Times Conclave 2025, brought to you by Pegasus Global Pvt Ltd. And this is where ideas meet innovation. This year's theme is both timely and thought-provoking: digital banking and taxation in a cashless economy. And since 2011, Unique Times has been a trusted platform for thought leadership and transformative ideas. And tonight, we are continuing that legacy with pride. So let's open up our minds and engage with new perspectives and get inspired to shape the future together. And now, to lead us through this exciting session, we are delighted to welcome a dynamic personality, an exceptional leader, and a respected professional and thought leader, currently serving as the president of Thai Kerala and the senior partner at Varma and Varma Chartered Accountants, welcoming CA Vivek Krishna Govind to moderate the session. With a big round of applause, let's welcome CA Vivek Krishna, and it's my pleasure to hand over the stage to moderate the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for setting the tone, and thank you, Nandakumar, sir, for the opening remarks, which was, I know, extempore, but knowing him, this is a topic which is closest to his heart, and he can go on all evening and give us the necessary guidance on this. At the outset, let me congratulate Dr. Ajit and his entire Pegasus team with the blessings of Nandakumar, sir. With every event that you are doing, the kind of scale at which you do, it doesn't really feel like a session on digital banking. This feels more like an Oscar and Grammy Award function that all of us feel very conscious seated here in this wonderful stage here. So thank you, Ajit and team, for inviting us. This is a topic which is very, very relevant in the current scheme of things. All of us are living through a complete transition over the past 7 to 8 years and moving forward as India strengthens its grip on the global stage. Digital banking and cashless economy are terms which are going to find more and more increasing relevance as we move forward. And as always, Ajit and team, you have lined up a phenomenal panel here, experts in the field. We have a leading entrepreneur, businessman who's really one of the, what we would say, the people who would rank in the pride of Kerala category as, in the center stage. We have a very senior banker who has experience in HDFC, now with ISAF. We have a representative from one of the big four audit firms, global giants, consulting firms here. We have an AI expert here. We have a face who's very familiar on social media who talks to us on various topics through his YouTube channel. So all very, very eminent, well-known, respected panel members here. So my job as moderator should be fairly simple. I think I just need to switch the on button and the rest of it will flow. But nevertheless, Ajit being Ajit, he has once again structured the session very well, ensured that all of us have been briefed on the topic here, shared certain inputs on how the session needs to be structured. So thank you once again to the Unique Times team and the Pegasus team for taking the effort to ensure that all of us are in sync. Before I move on to my official duty, let me very quickly introduce all our panelists here, though most of them here require no introduction as such. Nandakumar sir, as all of you know, Managing Director and CEO of Manappuram, one of the largest NBFCs in the world, with 5,200 branches, portfolio covering everything under the sun and moon. Also known in many other circles apart from the business side. He's a philanthropist through his foundation and also a public figure through various associations which he has led, Lions being one where he's adorned the highest positions. He has also promoted very many industries, including institutions like Equitas, Small Finance Bank, Aptus Value Housing, etc. And anybody who drives through Valapad would know, that how a small town has actually been transitioned into what it is thanks to one business entity. So warm welcome to you, Nandakumar sir, once again. Mr. Hari Vellur is Executive Vice President of ESAF Bank. He has been a career banker with experience in various portfolios, has served as the Senior Vice President at HDFC Bank before moving to ESAF Bank, where he's in charge of in the national retail, channel head, branch banking, retail liability heads, etc. And an expert in the topic. We've again interacted multiple times in different forums, and he's a banker who can definitely, the depth of his knowledge will certainly add a lot of gravitas to the session. Welcome, Mr. Hari. Nikhil is the CEO of Pented Securities, a visionary leader who brings over 2 decades of experience in investment management, product, financial distribution. heading one of Kochi's most prominent brokerage firms. He has actually been going beyond his calling and ensuring that he educates the rest of us. His YouTube channel has a substantially large number of viewers. I have also watched many of his episodes and learned from him. He interviews many of the leading lights in the industry, and he also, through his talks, ensures that awareness is spread about various pitfalls while investing in this. And his channel is called Money Talks. Those of you who haven't seen that, please go back home and watch one of the episodes of Money Talks. I'm sure you'll be glued in. He was formerly part of Thomson Reuters in key leadership roles, and now he's heading Penton Securities. Welcome, Nikhil. Bobby Thomas Verghese is the Associate Director of Ernst & Young GDS. And as you can see in the topic, you see the word taxation. And I'm happy that Bobby is here because he makes my job easy. He's a tax expert with over 18 years of professional experience across all the big fours, almost all the big fours, Deloitte, KPMG, and EY. He's a chartered accountant and a member of CPA Australia. His industry expertise covers various sectors, BFSI, oil and gas, manufacturing, and he handles a large number of international taxation, transfer pricing, etc. in the Middle East, and an expert in the field. So, welcome, Bobby. And our last panelist here is probably, coming from a space which is most interesting and relevant in the current space. Any panel discussion these days is incomplete without having an AI expert with us. And Keshav Mishra brings that expertise to the panel. He's the CEO and co-founder of Octabyte AI, an accomplished technology entrepreneur and leader. He serves as the CEO and co-founder of Octabyte. He's also had his experience working several years in the banking sector. So before getting into AI, the domain experience is what has held him in good stead. He served in several organizations, including our own Dhanlakshmi Bank. He was talking to us about his connection. He's Mumbai-based, but his connection to Dhanlakshmi Bank and his spouse being from Thrissur. So you are as much a Malayali as the rest of us on the panel. Warm welcome to you, Keshav. So with this, I think I'll go take my seat and get started with my question. I think let's start with the hot seat. Let's start with Nandakumar sir itself, and I'll probably start where he left off, because he spoke about the importance of the last mile connectivity. And since we are talking here on digital banking, very, very important that the last mile connectivity and reaching out, particularly because Manappuram with 5,000 plus branches, large number in rural, semi-urban places spread all across the country. How is it that Manappuram has actually managed to seamlessly integrate all the branches, the transactions, everything from a very early stage? Today, things are more or less settled, more or less robust now. But Manappuram was one of the front runners when it came to digitizing the organization and the branches. So if you could share some of your experiences, sir.
Thank you, Vivek, for the question. So we are pioneers in computerization. We started computerizing and using our own core banking from 1989. So this has been one of the reasons for our ability and agility at that point of time for expansion. This has really helped. While telling pioneers, I don't think, we have much use of AI so far. We are lagging in that we are lagging behind, which we feel like we should correct. And in fact, McKinsey has started their assignment for technology transformation, use of AI, how the core should be replaced or could be replaced, etc., etc. Because this is the very important need of our. No organization can exist going forward without the use of AI. So we realized it. Our new partners, Bain Capital, also has realized it. One thing I was talking about the NBFC conclave organized by the Finance Ministry, where Finance Minister was discussing. And one thing she was telling, to achieve the vision 2047 of 32 trillion US dollars as Indian economy, and moving to the third position, etc., replacing Germany may happen by 2030, etc. When we reach a size of 30 trillion, but yeah, that to become a developed, to reach a level of developed economy, the important need is the inclusive finance, financial inclusion, where every Indian, every citizen should get the credit support. And for that, what she has said is, yes, now around the 20, nearly 1/4 of the credit system, Indian credit system, is by or through NBFCs today. And the NBFCs grow, in growth, NBFCs outpace banks today. And to reach that level, the AUMs of assets under management of banks and non-banks should be similar, more or less 50%. And that meeting was invited, has invited MDs of most banks, 3 of the SBI MDs also. And she has said, she has told something in front of them. Why NBFCs are relevant, very, very relevant in achieving the 32 trillion economy, because the use of digitalization and thereby the credit delivery to the last mile, the NBFCs, at least 2-3 of the top, are far ahead of the best of Indian banks. So, without associating NBFCs, the achievement of the Vision 2047 is impossible. I am just repeating the words of the Honorable Finance Minister. So that maybe with that realization, for the first time I have seen, the new governor, as soon as he assumed the charge, he has called the meeting of the top executives of the top 20 NBFCs. I also was fortunate to participate in that. There also he emphasized the need for digitalization, integration of the various technologies. Now, even from the regulator side, we all know, Hari also knows that as and when the inspection takes place, they send the report on a daily, upload the reports on a daily basis. And from the Reserve Bank's Central Office Inspection Department, whatever the auditors couldn't identify, they could identify without any difficulty. So they also wanted entities, regulated entities, to use the technology and also move to artificial intelligence for their underwriting, credit delivery, etc., etc. Because waste of capital is no longer tolerable to achieve the growth rate. And even though it is not connected with that, one thing what I have seen now, there is a realization on the part of gold. So we are the pioneers in gold loan in NBFCs, one thing. So in the recent past, one of the senior bureaucrats has said, the Ministry of Economic Affairs has said, Indian families hold around 30 to 34,000 tons of gold, which is valued around 60% of the India's GDP. Of late, they have realized, yes, the need of monetizing this idle family gold. And to facilitate to the common man, even there, we can have the digitalized credit delivery. We were pioneers in offering a digital gold loan. And today, our 84% of our gold loan is as a service through digital means. So the digitalization improves customer service, credit delivery, inclusive finance in every way field, etc. So recently, yes, we have seen a very serious setback for our microfinance business. There also one of the factors which is going to play a very important role, because this is an instrument of inclusion, is the digitalization, digitalized underwriting of customers. So it's very critical, and it will bring down the waste of capital. It will ease the servicing on either side. So it is very, very vital.
Thank you, sir. I think I'll take a leaf out of where you stopped, and Mr. Hari, if you could add on the topic, because ESAF Small Finance Bank has known and started its operations right at the bottom of the pyramid, and slowly moved up, and now you are a regulated entity with all the necessary licenses to function as a bank, and a listed entity today under the SEBI regulation. So, most respected regulated entities, if you are to list from Kerala now, ISAF is now there in that group. How has the journey been, and particularly from the angle of digital economy at the bottom of the pyramid?
Thank you, Vivek. First of all, thank you to Unique Times, Pegasus, and Dr. Ajit for having ISAF Bank here. Also a privilege to be with this panel, especially Mr. Nandakumar. It's a coincidence, both of us come from a place called Valapad. And during my travels, I used to have trouble saying, where are you from? I'll say Valapad. So they'll say, where is that? So if from Kerala, I'll say near Tripurayar, Kodungalur. Or from, otherwise I'll say near Thrissur. Then about 30 years ago or so, I didn't have to introduce Valapad. All I had to say is, have you heard of Manappuram? Yes, they have heard. Okay, I'm from there. So that is the kind of identity Mr. Nandakumar has given to our native place. So thank you for that, sir. Going on to, the journey of ISAF from an NGO. We started as an NGO way back in 1992, and we listed 2 years ago. It has been a hard journey, let me put it that way, though fruitful, but it's been hard. Like Mr. Nandakumar was saying, the kind of legitimacy that an NBFC is getting from government recently, you can imagine what it was 30 years ago or so. Apart from the fact, funding was a big problem, always has been a big problem. If you look at ISAF, we started with something like a loan of something like $10,000 or so, which Mr. Mohammed Yunus was kind enough to extend to our founder, Mr. Paul Thomas. And it started from there, such a small amount. And it got built up. The NGO became, an NBFC. The NBFC became an MFI NBFC. And then we transitioned into a bank. So the banking license has made a huge, huge difference to us. That is one part of it. The fact that funding was no longer a problem, this is good. The other thing is that as a bank, we have various avenues open. But let me, confine myself to what used to be our core competency, which is, financial inclusion, as we call it. It's been a basic for us. The aim for this institution is to be the best social bank in India. And we believe in that thoroughly, and that mission continues. So, what has happened is, the financial literacy from a digital point of view, etc. When I joined about 5-6 years ago, we were still disbursing cash. Today, we don't disburse cash at all. Everybody has a savings bank account with the bank. And it is so good to see that about 40% of our repayments is digital. Again, there is no cash. It has made a huge, huge difference to us, in terms of how we have evolved. I think I have strayed a little bit from what Vivek asked me, but I hope I have covered, more or less what you wanted to ask.
I'll come back to you with a lead question from where you stopped. But moving on to Nikhil. Nikhil, my question to you would be from obviously your area of domain experience, equity and the markets and mutual funds. And what has been the impact of the whole digital transformation in the country on your space?
Okay, I think in my space, it's brilliant. Okay, so the way COVID has really transformed the way we looked into digital is great. And I think from Aadhaar to UPI system and onboarding client before when I joined stock market as a broker. Those days we have to have about 50 odd signature to do the onboarding of a customer and everything in the paper. But now, so you know that the 50 signature means how much of man work has involved. Now the entire work can be done in 10 minutes. And that is a huge journey we have done. And those days we have to do if any want to buy any shares or sell any shares, we need to call people and get the confirmation and everything. And now this is like, I always tell that in Kerala, we all have a piggy bank or a Kashikuduka, right? So now Kashikuduka's name has changed. That is a demat account. And even when I give talks to my videos and everything, sometimes I feel that I'm getting blessing also, because there is a 60-year-old lady called once and said that she never knew that there is something called ETF gold. And she have a demat account with us. And whenever she get 100 rupees or 50 rupees, she buy one gold ETF, and she has accumulated about 1.2 lakhs and lakhs worth of gold, because she always thought that she can buy only jewelry. Now she know that jewelry I don't have to carry, jewelry I don't have to go to a jewelry shop. Even if I want to sell, I don't have to go to a jewelry shop and sell. I can do everything in my phone. So this is the transformation which I am really seeing, and our GDP is very simple, 4 trillion, which means our market capitalization is about 5 trillion. So each and everyone can really be part of that growth of India also when it comes to digitalization. So be it a person who's sitting in interior part of any Andhra or UP or anyone, they can also be a client of anyone and be part of the journey of entire digital India. Yeah.
Yes, interesting point. From 50 signatures to one, not even a click sometimes, just a finger tap. I think that's the transformation that has happened in your world. Now moving on to Bobby, the face of tax on this panel. What would your take be, both from a perspective of Indian tax and international tax, the impact of the digital economy, digital currency, digitization? What has been the transition? You've been in this field for almost 2 decades, so you've seen the then and the now. So what is your take?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be part of this interesting dialogue on digital banking and taxation in the cashless economy. As Vivek rightly said, digitalization globally has disrupted the entire framework of tax. Traditional tax systems was based on physical presence. You really don't have that these days. So currently, taxation has to be, you need to identify where to tax a person. Do you tax it, say for example, an e-commerce transaction which happens on the net, where do you tax it? So the tax authorities had to come up with new tax frameworks to identify where to tax all these digital transactions. So that's a big disruption that has happened in our field, and it is still evolving. Globally, we've had responses to this disruption. Domestically, responses have also been there, and we're all in the process of getting there.
Right, I think I'll come back to you with a question on that, but before that, let me get some opening remarks from Keshav. So Keshav, again, you are the AI face here. So One is a question I'll ask, but I would also request you to also tell us what you do, because I'm pretty sure most of the audience here and all of us kind of understand what the rest of us are doing, but we are not very sure about what you do. So that we'd like to hear from you, because AI is still in its nascent stage, and most of us here are still only grappling with some quick, chat GPT support which we get in our everyday lives. We haven't really gone beyond that. So you could please tell us, in the digital economy, in the banking space, what is the role of AI that you see today, and maybe over the next 1 or 2 years? In the short term, what is the role of AI you see? And you could also tell us what you do.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with prestigious panel like this. Maybe I'll start with a little bit of a story, okay? Because to understand future, I think you have to go back a little bit in the past. As a kid, my father used to get his salary in a check. He will deposit it. And we go to the branch to withdraw cash, okay? My father will get a token number, because that time everybody in the city used to get, salary on the same day. So we'll have to wait for 1 hour, and our token number will come. My father will go and withdraw cash. This happened for 8-10 years. As a child, I used to go with him. And then came ATMs, not debit cards as we know it. It was more like an ATM card, very captive to the bank that you bank with. Then he started going to the ATM and withdrawing cash. So obviously he saved a lot of time. And now, as we all know, we have NEFT, RTGS, IMPS, and UPI, of course, right? So if you look at this transformation that has happened over the last 3 decades, right, from waiting in a bank branch to take cash to the time where we don't even need a cash, right? So this has been the history when cash has moved in the economy as an individual. I'm not touching upon on the business side, but it will pretty much echo the same thing. And now, when we understand the movement of cash in the historical context, what will happen in the future? As a banker, we have seen demonetization, and a lot of other things have happened around cash. And we have moved towards digital currency, which is what we call as CBDC. And in that context, right, I think a couple of years ago when the AI started, creating a lot of buzzword around it, I started doing research in terms of what is it that can be do. Because there have been a lot of talk around what it can do. Chat GPTs of the world has come, and I'm sure many of us are familiar with it. But they are the models which has something called as neuroscience around it, right? Eventually, as Sir said, right, it's all about data, right? And what you can do with that data. There was a time, even let's say 5, 7, 10 years back, we used to do a lot of machine learning, right? These were algorithms that will do a certain kind of job. And the problem with that is that it only used to deal with structured data. So let's say if you are a core banking, debit and credit is happening, your account gets money, your account, money moves out of your account. But now, those kind of situation, machine learning was able to do a lot of stuff around automation in that sense. Where Gen AI and agentic AI, etc., came into picture, what has started to happen is that it started to analyze unstructured data also. Let's say analyzing a document, a PDF, images, right? So the whole workflow started getting a different meaning. And what has happened is that it had started doing a lot of reasoning inside it. So the decision-making part is where the biggest use case of AI as I see it today. A little bit about what we are doing today is that we understand that this unstructured data is today also used for a lot of research that happens in the financial services. For example, you may see annual reports, you may see credit rating agencies report. When 2 companies get merged, you will see a lot of documentation around valuation. We have trained some of these models. So when you say chat GPTs, what you mean is typically a large language model, which has its own neuroscience, its own training data, and it basically bases that, gives you decisions. We distill those LLMs, and we call it small language models. The beauty of that is that for example, if I train a model like that to take a decision whether to give loan or no, it is a binary yes and no. You cannot ask that SLM who is the president of this country, because it will not have that data. But with ChatGPT, you can still do that, right? So effectively what we do is we distill those larger LLMs, make it a smaller SLMs for the specific use case. We train those models. There are two big benefits out of it, right? One is that the data remains within the four walls of the organization, right? Because as a country, we have moved towards a very stringent data protection guideline. DPDP Act is in picture. And second thing is that it reduces the cost significantly, right? As we all know today, while we are talking about AI, it is not cheap to implement AI. It is quite expensive. I mean, just to give you a ballpark number, we have heard about those calls that happens, right? The AI conversational calls, they are not cheap. They'll cost you anywhere between 5 to 6 rupees a minute, a good quality call even today. As we scale, perhaps those costs will get down. But then if you have these smaller models, which we are training, using the LLM parameters, this is where our AI company called Octabyte comes into picture.
Yeah, thank you, Keshav. I think your long answer helped. Now we have a fair understanding of where this conversation is headed. So, back to Nandakumar sir on this. My questions are, now when you are looking at a digital economy, cashless economy, and you have, Manappuram has again been, one of the first NBFCs to always been ahead of its time. What are the steps which you took in the initial days and now to ensure the security of the data, digital security, privacy, etc.? Because probably the who's who in the country are your customers, and you have access to their data and about the wealth, etc. What are the steps which have been taken by Manappuram at different stages?
Vivek, this is a question which you should not ask. You should not have asked me. You should have asked our CISO or CDO.
It's a trick question.
Yeah,
because I'm knowing you, everything comes from your head.
Yeah, yeah. So, whatever is required, yes, the firewalls, everything. Because data privacy, any leakage of data, even sharing data, because we have multiple entities working under the same umbrella. So sharing data, everything is highly regulated. There are stringent regulations around. So data protection and the role of CISO has become very important today. So the data protection policy, the Reserve Bank looks into that. And anything, even data leakage can play havoc in the system. So this is what I know.
And just another add-on question from there. On the technology side, what is it the role of the leadership of any organization? From the tone at the top, how do you set the tone to say, let us, now you spoke to us about engaging with McKinsey for doing the AI. So what is really the role from the top management in driving this whole process?
So as the previous speaker has said, AI is not coming without cost. It is very costly. So for organizations at various levels, what is the absorption capacity? Because anyway, one thing is very well recognized. Use of AI, whether big or small, this is very, very important. So data and data analytics play a very important role. Whether Gen AI or agentic AI, both these are playing very important role. So while appointing McKinsey for a thorough study, what is one of the relevant questions asked is, for an organization of our size, our earnings, what is the absorption capacity today? So what sort of change in core platform is required? Because today we are changing from one platform to the other. How long this can be sustained over a period of time, that is very unpredictable. So while every organization should have a short-term, medium-term and long-term plans, all these should go together. So we can't have a long-term plan in technology today. So it can be medium-term. Now everybody says it can be short-term. So it is keep on evolving, keep on evolving. Today something is costly, tomorrow it can become very cheap. We have seen mobile, etc., etc. When it has come, it was as big as this. It has become tiny. You can't have, today you can't live without mobile. So the mobile is a major driver in our life today. So every organization has its different levels of absorption capacity, but without that, there is. I personally believe that there is no existence. So along with that, now we have started another journey. We have done few things, yes, about the overuse or misuse of these digital gadgets, which is leading to brain rot amongst all, even youth or even digital Alzheimer's. So because we are becoming, everyone is becoming so much leaned on that. At what point we should give, yes, a cut? How it has to be managed? This will turn out to be a big question going forward.
I think you've added a very important dimension. You brought in, the brain rot, mental health issues faced by the youth, and probably even for all of us. I think this is a very addictive gadget, and we're also glued into this. I think that's a very interesting perspective. Now, coming back to Mr. Hari, my question to you is, because most of your customers are from the, because you said your journey started as an NGO, so people who are, not technology savvy by any definition. How is it that you have actually been able to bring all of them into your fold so that they get to leverage on the strength of the digital transformation at ESAP?
So, when I got the invitation for this conclave, I did some reading, general reading, not about the bank by itself. So I was told that there is this Kantar survey which said that in India, there are 886 million internet users. That is roughly 60% of India's population. If we put it at about 1400 million or so, that's 60%. And out of this 886 million people, about 480 million people are in rural areas, which to me was though I work in that area, it was an astonishing fact. Imagine 480 people in rural areas in India are on the net. So that itself, is a big opportunity. Having said that, it's not been, so easy. And I'll put it in two halves. One is, what is the bank doing? And second, what is it that the customer is doing? The bank doing is very easy because it's for us to implement, to educate, etc. Apart from, being a social bank, we do thousands of programs on financial literacy, which includes digital literacy also. And as I said earlier in the beginning, close to 40% of our payments are digital, which means people are using UPI or some app to repay our loans. But the fact is that while we do a lot, for instance, by regulation, we are supposed to give a loan card. That is a passbook kind of a thing for a loan to every customer. And I'm talking mainly of the rural segment, the unserved or underserved segment as they are called. By regulation, we are supposed to do it. But we are trying to work with the regulators to say that we have this Mitra app. And in the Mitra app, we will ensure that everything which the customer deals with us is available on the phone. So don't insist on a paper card. The paper card came into being because the customer needed to have something in their hand. So there is an evidence that the bank acknowledges receipt of money and things like that. Today, if there are 480 million people with phones, and every customer of ours has a phone. So why don't we convert this digitally? Because it is much more reliable also. The bank's app is saying that you have repaid. The other thing is about this has started about 7 years ago or so. The moment you repay a loan, and our customers, the core customers, if you ask them to come to the bank to make a payment, it is at least half a day's loss of wages. You have to think on those terms. These people are mainly on daily wages, or maybe they work in somebody's house, and the householder makes hell if you don't turn up on time and things like that. So we've always been going to them and doing the collections and giving a paper receipt. Whenever there is paper, there is always scope for a lot of, hera-fairy as they call it. So what have we done? About 7 years ago, we said, the moment you pay our person, make sure you check your phone. There will be an SMS which comes to your phone acknowledging that the bank has received the money. It's a very small thing, but a bank operates on trust. And this is a big element to this segment. The moment you pay, you have a receipt, though electronic, from the bank saying, yes, we acknowledge receipt of the money. So these things we are able to do. From the customer's point of view, there are challenges. One is that in many places, connectivity is not great. So if connectivity is not there, none of this works, and especially if it's a phone. This is one. Second, in many of these segments, and typically we lend to women, and she shares her phone maybe with the son or the husband or somebody else. It's maybe not her own. The problem there is of privacy. And I'm not talking from a regulation point of view. Sometimes they don't want anybody else to know that they have a loan or they are repaying a loan, because then somebody may say, okay, don't give that repayment today, give me the money and I'll use it, etc., etc. So then we are trying to see how we can help them to overcome some of these issues. So from the bank side, a lot of initiatives are taken, like I spoke about the Mitra app. We don't require them to sign documents anymore. There's something called an e-sign. We don't ask them to come to a branch to take a loan. We do it in the field using a tablet. Aadhaar is there to authenticate the transaction. And, it is perfectly legal today. So maybe 3 years ago, if you went to some of our rural branches, you would be seeing a stack of files on shelves. But today, if you go, you don't need it because there is no paper at all. So these are some of the ways the bank has done. From the customer point of view, I think they need a little more help. Technology definitely will help in terms of penetration. We hear of BharatNet and things like that. The more that penetrates, the better it will be from a customer point of view. And let me tell you, it gives them a lot of trust to see that. If you see the segment, typically they'll have a State Bank of India passbook with them, which is a proof that there is a money. So we are trying to substitute that.
Someday, ISAF will be talked about on par with State Bank of India. Let's hope for that someday. Sure. Nikhil, over to you. My question to you is, in your experience, what are the key behavioral shifts, so to say, in the pattern of how people, where they put their money in terms of with the digital economy coming in? Has there been a shift towards, the markets more because people have greater confidence now in the markets because we are operating in a digital economy? Have you seen any such?
I think, this is, I don't know, a couple of years back, I think some luxury car senior person has mentioned that because of SIP, their sale has come down. And if you look at the SIP as a whole, monthly automated payment going to mutual fund and stock market, it's about 30,000 crore. That is a very, so which means if you look at olden days, if you see the market, we used to see that in newspaper, the market is crashing, market is, the FIA, foreign institutions are taking money out from India and going. So even if you look at recent past, we have seen that FIAs are taking money out and going. But every month, this 30,000 crore is coming to the market again. So the liquidity is really good. And so that is one bit, so which means a lot of people are putting the money. And that we can really tell that taxpayers are more, employment is more and everything. But these days, the actual transaction, if you really look at it, what Harisar mentioned that the rural part, even if any person who is doing the wages, even in Mumbai when I was there, we had a maid, we somehow convinced her to open a bank account and we used to pay the money through bank and I made her to start SIP and she has that account still there with Pendant. Even though I came from back from Mumbai to here, I tried the same thing with the Kerala made, but one person has done, another person is yet to do that because she is afraid, family will get, I was trying to understand what he's saying, the privacy part of that segment. And if you look at now, anyone, any wage, daily wages and everyone, they are collecting the money through Google Pay. So they also part of the digitalization bit. And these days, a person who is ready to work and do not have any other maybe bad habit or anything, money can be with them. And a person who is, even if you look at India's economy, the middle level hasn't gone really up with their salary and everything, but lower level, if you want to hire a person for a daily job, we won't get a person without paying 1,000 rupees per day. So these are the people have access to bank, have access to UPA, and they're collecting money through this one. So they are part of this. And the choice is that they should know there is something called a mutual fund. There is something called a stock market. There is something called ETF. And my effort in order to do talking people to money is that you can start with the 500 rupees per month itself. And they can also be part of the growth journey of India. And this is the same thing which I have seen in Mumbai. In Mumbai, auto drivers are two types. One has a white color dress and another one has a khaki color. The difference is that white color person is the owner and the other person is a worker. And one mutual fund distributor has done a campaign that, do you want to convert from khaki to white? And they have started mutual fund investing, and he has helped many people to become owners of auto. And I think this kind of initiative is happening in Kerala also. Because I have a person who sells in Thrissur, Kapalandi, and he has account with us. And, because if I go and approach him to start a mutual fund, I won't even able to manage my travel and get this done. We are doing a video, and he's seeing it, and he's coming to our office and opening this account, and he's also being part of growth journey of India. So what Nandakumar said was that India's growth story, what we are trying to do for how do we reach for third largest economy. To do that, we need to have a lot of companies has to flourish, a lot of banks has to flourish, and this employment has to come. And when this comes, these share price of each bank, State Bank of India, ISAF, or Manappuram, and all will go up. It may be double, it may be triple in maybe, I don't know when. But I can also be a partner to Nandakumar sir sitting here. Because if I buy a Manappuram share, that means I'm a partner with him. That is the same thing with a person who is maybe selling a fish or daily worker can also part of maybe, if Manappuram share become 3x, Nandakumar sir's share will be something else. But the person who is buying one share also become 3x. So that is a beauty now we have with all this kind of digitalization and everything. It's so easy these days. That is a whole point. Everyone can be part of this journey.
Thank you, Nikhil. Now, my next question is to Bobby. Let me come back to the taxation side. If you could just, because there are many of us here in the audience who may not be well versed with what transfer pricing means. So if you could just talk about some of the basics of transfer pricing and international tax, associate enterprise, etc. And what has really been the transfer pricing has been in India for almost 2 decades now. What has been the change and shift you've seen ever since the digital economy has come into the
transfer price? If I were to say, give a very simple example, assume I am a doctor, I have my brother come to me, I have a third party come to me. The price that I charge my brother is called the transfer price, and the price that I charge the third party is market price. The government expects this transfer price to be at market price. This is the plain vanilla explanation for the whole practice, but there are obviously nuances to it. So transfer price essentially deals with how do you price your transaction with your related parties or your fellow subsidiaries. This is, in short, what transfer pricing is. Now, how has digitalization impacted this practice of transfer pricing? So if you look at how economy is run right now, there are a lot more than the physical presence. It is intangibles which rule the or govern the economy. Valuation of this intangible is now the biggest challenge that is there for any tax professional or the governments. So there's a, as I mentioned earlier in my opening remark, there's a two-pronged response that is happening to this issue. One is globally, OECD or the G20 countries have come together and they've put the most significant response is a inclusive frameworks two-pillar solution, or something that we commonly call as the BEPS Pillar 1 and Pillar 2. So Pillar 1 is essentially, it reallocates the taxing rights. So who taxes is decided basically, earlier it used to be based on the presence. Now it is going to be a portion of your profits would be taxed based on the presence of the consumer or the end user. So that is a change that has happened with Pillar 1 coming into existence. And Pillar 2 is basically giving a global minimum tax of 15%. So which basically is to avoid shifting of profits from a low tax jurisdiction to a high tax jurisdiction. Sorry, reverse, from a high tax jurisdiction to a low tax jurisdiction. Now, OECD countries are negotiating this process, so it has not yet been fully implemented, which is why you have a domestic response to it, something called the digital services tax. In India, the equivalent was the equalization levy that we had, which the government has now withdrawn from 1st April 25. This was also to tax domestically what has been, all digital incomes are proposed to be taxed under this tax law. So this is the approach that is currently happening, and from a transfer pricing perspective, the evaluation of intangibles is a big challenge, and so we gently say it is intangible, it is not visible, but you need to visibly value the invisible and prove it to the government. So that's the challenge that we have in the tax field.
An add-on question there, Bobby, because there are countries, since you also operate with, with Middle East nations, many of which have no tax or very minimum tax. Now you spoke about Pillar 2 coming in at 15%. I'm sure many of us here would also be interested to know what would be the impact of the transactions with countries in the Middle East.
So as I mentioned, Pillar 2 essentially ensures that every country in the world has a minimum tax of 15%. So earlier, the benefit, as you rightly said, was Middle East had no tax. So doing business or moving your profits to Middle East was a viable tax option that you had. But now going forward, what the rule states is, if you have a transaction with a country with zero tax or less than the minimum 15% tax, the country from where you are doing your transaction, you are initiating your transaction, has the right to tax the profit that is accruing in the zero tax or no tax jurisdiction. So in essence, you would lose the benefit of dealing with a zero tax. So there is no incentive now in moving your profits to a no tax. So the expectation from the tax authorities is decide on how much profits is parked in each jurisdiction based on the value of the services that you're providing. And it should not be tax, should not be a criteria to decide your pricing or where your profit sits.
Thank you, Bobby. My next question would be to Keshav. Now, tools coming in, digital tools, predictive tools, analytics, etc. That has been your forte. And you've also been a banker. Can you share probably one or two specific instances or the benefits which could accrue? Some of us here are bankers, some of us here are auditors who audit banks. In what way do you see AI transforming the whole banking system?
Yeah, so I'll take an example, right? In banking, those of us who have worked in the bank, we have a four-eyed principle, which effectively means we have a maker and a checker so that those risks are mitigated. If one person makes a mistake, the other person catches it. And obviously you can have 6-eye principle or 10-eye principle, but the cost will obviously go up and also inefficiency will come into picture. Now imagine if you have an AI who is well trained, you can actually have an 100-eye principle looking at one transaction, right? That's insane because no matter what you do, the kind of efficiency that the system can bring in on the table is practically not possible with a human eye, right? Because as a person, if I'm clearing check, at best I can do maybe 200 checks in a day. I'm just giving a hypothetical example, right? But with an AI sitting, somewhere on cloud can process millions of check in a day with a lot more accuracy. I mean, there are transactions in banks which basically say beyond a certain threshold, don't even check 4i principle and just pass it. Let's say a 100 rupee check, right? But with AI coming in, those efficiencies can go significantly higher, right? It has its own challenges, as I talked about earlier, like cost, and sometimes it also has a hallucination problem. But leaving that aside for now, so that's one part of it, right? Secondly, there is one interesting thing that I want to leave a thought with you, right? When we talk about cybersecurity threats, we have attacks from people who try to penetrate your system to steal information or do something which is not desirable for the system. And then there are checks and balances built. You have firewalls and you have various kind of protection mechanism which helps to protect the environment, right? Now imagine if the attack is not being done by a human, but by an AI. If it is an attack which is generated by an AI, I think practically only way to stop it is the protector itself using an AI. So there is no question of whether all of us will walk that journey, because if the enemy is having an AK-47 with 303, I cannot compete with it, right? That realization will happen sooner or the later. So that's second area that I see significantly impactful area. The third area, right, from a taxation standpoint, because we are at the topic, right? Even a few years back, right, when we used to file our income tax return, we have to go to each bank where we have an account statement, ask what was the FD interest, what was the savings interest, and file our income tax return, right? With AIS coming into picture, now everything is available, right? You don't have to go to all the banks. You can simply, the life has become better. But let's say something like a CBDC coming into picture. If all the ledgers are maintained centrally and there is a traceability, right? If I give 100 rupee note to a vendor, there is no traceability of that transaction. But with CBDC, every transaction is already documented. So everybody knows how much I am earning and how much I am spending and where am I spending, right? Perhaps the income tax return itself will become irrelevant, right? There's a perhaps in it, so pardon me if you have other views on that, right? So some of those things where transactions are monitored, right, will also be extremely predictive in nature. So the ledger management, where massive amount of data is to be analyzed, it will need certain kind of computing capabilities, which a lot of us are investing in. So there's a chip manufacturing that's happening, right? There are NVIDIAs of the world who are building big chips in the world to do those kind of computing capabilities. So predictive analytics as such will become very, very crucial. Cybersecurity, operational efficiency, the second area. The third area, that there's a lot of proactive decision making when it will come to fraud prevention, right? So let me give you an example, okay? So all the banks have something like a rule-based fraud prevention. So for example, if I am withdrawing cash from an ATM in Kochi and within 2 minutes, the same card is being used in Mumbai to withdraw cash, right? So there is an algorithm which says that it's practically not possible that the same card can travel in 2 minutes from Kochi to Mumbai and take the cash withdrawal. The system will stop that as a fraudulent transaction, right? So this is a hard defined rules. Now the permutation and combination, right? How do you define those permutation and combination? But when it comes to AI, right, it will start to understand the patterns, right? If I give you an example, there is a possibility that I am here now, in the evening I'm catching a flight and going to Mumbai and withdrawing cash, right? So the AI understand that I am somebody who travels with flight, and it's okay for me to have 2 transactions in the gap of 5 hours between these 2 cities. But let's say if some persona of let's say my driver, the AI understand that the persona and the salary income of this guy does not really permit him to fly, and it can still stop him and not stop me. That is not happening today without AI, right? Because that needs massive amount of predictive analytics, and it also needs massive amount of data consumption, right? And those are the scenario where it will get very, very sophisticated. So in AI world, we call it n is equal to 1. That means every person and every persona is different from other, and you can have a risk parameter for every person.
For us, particularly some of us who represent the other side of the table, Bobby and me included, we have also been, been enjoying the benefits of introducing AI or introducing digital tools or audit tools in simplifying, particularly for, the audit of large banks and NBFCs, where the transaction size is so huge. Many of the anomalies, as you pointed out, we are hoping for more innovation and more tools to be built by people like you, which will make our job easier and probably even, help us to become optimized the way we all function. Now, I think we have just time for one last question. And first, let me start with Nandakumar sir again. Since we have a large number of students here, maybe I'll just deviate a little from the topic. Now, sir, you are a visionary entrepreneur. You started from a very, very small entity, one room, and what you have built is today the pride of our state and probably, ranked right up there amongst the most respected organizations in the country. And as Nikhil said, you have also shared your wealth by listing the organization at a very, very nascent stage, thereby sharing in the growth and, large number of shareholders who benefited. So if you could quickly take us through that journey as to what went through your mind at that stage. Did you really have the vision that Manappuram would be where it is today when you were probably in your early 30s or late 30s, that this is where Manappuram would be in 2025? Was that really a dream, or has it gone beyond what you had ever dreamed of? Because we are all very proud of you, sir.
I started the company in 92 with a capital of just 5 lakhs. And I wanted to list the company. And it was the period of controlled or capital issues. So, how to list? 3 years profitable balance sheet is required. So, how to have a 3-year balance sheet starting in 92 and getting it listed? And those days, the qualified company secretaries who can advise was not available in Vellapad, even in Kochi. So, but with the sheer determination, I would say, I got the company listed in 1995, within the shortest span. And Manappuram happened to be one of the largest wealth creators in India in the financial services space. We had given 3 times 1:1 bonus. So 8 shares, then split into 5. So 1 share of that day is 40 shares. So 10 rupees has crossed 10,000 rupees or 11,000 rupees. Yeah, and many believe that, yes, ahead of few quarters, things could be very different with Bain also joining, right? So, and also the dividend, if you say, for somebody who has invested 10 rupees then, the dividend percentage today is 1600%. So this way, yes, what to the students, what I would say is, success will not come without testing failures. You should be ready to fail. You should be ready to fail. But what is important is the perseverance. Simply switching over from one thing when we fail cannot lead to success. But there should be perseverance. Somebody, I have read somewhere, somebody has said, the greatest entrepreneurs, somebody who have fallen most and risen out of that. And today, I'm switching over to something else. In a digital world, I can proudly, as an Indian, I can proudly say, we are ahead of, in the use of digital currency, ahead of the common man in US or Europe. I have been traveling during the last couple of months. I have been traveling through US, Europe, etc., etc. There are many for purchase, even today, they require currency. Today, even a beggar prefers to have the money through Google Pay or PhonePe. The world, the country has been greatly transformed with Aadhaar, UPI, etc., and which is really remarkable. So one thing again I highlight to the youth, even when we say, always talk about AI and use of this thing, don't go slaves. So now on the one side our mission is how to use AI. On the other side, our CSR has taken up how to create awareness among the influencers, particularly targeting cities, about digital Alzheimer's and brain rot. Which is, yes, when I have employed many professionals, I could see brilliant chartered accountants. Yeah. When in a discussion, 60 divided by 5, they immediately look at the calculator. Unfortunately, with the whole evolution of AI, the use of brain appears to be coming down. This also has to be the youth, including, yes. So one of the speakers used to be the Professor Emeritus from NIMANS. This week we are conducting in Delhi in Bharat Mandapa. So they have started a clinic to treat this abuse, not only drug abuse, digital abuse also. He is advising to have a holy day for the use of social media. It's very, very vital today. So the world going digital is something which cannot be prevented. It makes our life easy. At the same time, the youth should be aware about the misuse of that rather. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very relevant point. We've heard Nandakumar sir, twice talk about the deep pain which you can see when he speaks about the digital abuse. So in a discussion on digital economy, it is also important to understand the pitfalls of abuse of the digital, digital gadgets that we all are so glued to now. We have only another 7-8 minutes left, so rather than asking a question, I'll just request all the 4 panelists to please share your quick last thoughts on this topic. And if any of you here, if you have any questions, you can please raise your hand. We can also, meanwhile, while we have the closing comments here, you can also, ask us any questions that you have. So I'll start with you. Mr. Hari, you can share your last thoughts on this topic or anything connected to.
Since the topic also covers taxation, well, I'm not an expert like the gentleman on my right, but let me tell you how digitization and digital banking is actually helping the small person. I keep speaking about that because I'm from a small finance bank. For instance, we have these small shops, what we call petikada, etc. Earlier days, and I've been a career banker, I started my career in 1985. And those days, if somebody came, and we used to call it retail trade, that was the jargon being used. So it was a very rough approximation, and the banker would take a decision saying, okay, the customer thinks I won't get 5,000, so I'll ask for 10,000. And then the banker looks at him and says, okay, if he's asking for 10,000, I maybe give him 1,000 or 2,000. It was a very, very rough approximation of, there's no science to it. And it was very much dependent upon the whim of the banker. But today the same person, because of, let's say, UPI, what happens is that there is a strong track of what exactly is happening in that small shop of his. And I'm taking that only as an example. In bankers' jargon, we call it surrogates. We have various surrogates to help assess very fairly accurately what is the kind of business that this person does, what is the kind of turnover, and how we can actually decide within 90-95% of how much finance should be extended. And I think that's a brilliant thing which has happened in India, especially in India, looking at the large population and the large underserved people we have. So from a taxation point of view, everything is coming on record. There is no problem with that. And the customer feels that because he has a strong track record, coupled with CIBIL, you know, the people whom we serve, they don't say CIBIL, credit bureau, etc., etc. They say that number shouldn't go below 650 or 700. And that has drilled into their consciousness. So these are the 2 or 3 big things which has happened and which is actually helping the people to do well, to become more prosperous, to have a good livelihood. So that's what I'd like to say.
Nikhil?
Thank you. I think a good discussion and good to see all of you in this forum. And I think when it comes to saving money, investing money, it's very important that digitalization really helped us to be part of this developing economy. And if you really see that we all depend on income to lead our life. And if you are depending on that income to lead our life, entire life, we have to work till we die. And the only option is that we need to have a second source of income that is come from investing. And the best example we can take is that especially we have a banker and we have an NBFC person sitting here. And Nandakumar sir, he started Manappuram, and I'm from Kodungalur. And I have a lot of neighbors and everyone so proud of saying that my money was always there with the Manappuram, and they stay so proud that they are holding the shares. And those people, they never sold the shares, what they bought in 1995 or anything. And at the same time, they have invested that money as FD also in the Manappuram. But they must have invested as an FD, as a huge chunk of money. And from that, he would have given some 10% or something. But from the shares they bought, if you look at the entire percentage of wealth they have, Manappuram has made for them as a dividend and capital appreciation, that's a huge. So being part of this kind of investment, you choose that whether you want to be partner with companies like Manappuram, or you want to be a customer and putting that FD. So both is needed, definitely, because next year is your child's marriage, you need an FD. But if your retirement is going to happen in 40 years from now, I think what you need is a partnership. So, choose wisely and see that which one really going to make sense for your life. Yeah, thank you.
Bobby, I think I'll take your question.
Yeah, so I've been talking about the disruptions created by the digital economy. So one point that came up was on the transparency and the ease the digitization has brought into the whole tax process, including the individual return filing. It's simple now, but there's another aspect to it as well. There's a lot more transparency also that has come along with the digitization. Ways to avoid tax has reduced a lot, so compliance has been ensured. And one point that all of us need to remember is the digitization has also equipped the tax authorities with a lot of technological advancements whereby they can track every transaction of yours, and any avoidance or erosion of their tax base can be identified. So this brings a lot about tax is no more going to be, or tax planning is no more going to be a thing of tax avoidance. Rather, it is going to be complying and ensuring proper alignment to the base erosion profit principles. So in a way, it is changing the whole profession, but it is changing the society as well and has a positive impact to the society as well.
Thank you, Bobby. So, Keshav, you can have the last words for this session.
AI is here, and AI is here to stay, right? And it's not just about banking or finances, right? There's a lot of work that is happening. My suggestion is that all of us need to make a little more effort to know what is happening. And I'm not saying that we need to understand coding or anything like that. There are AI apps which can create applications for you. They can create website for you. They can create videos for you, audios for you. And a lot of content gets created today using AI. So I think none of us can afford not to be aware of what is happening. So you have to become a generalist to understand what's happening, what's impact it's creating in your industry, whichever industry that you work for, and every aspect of the value chain in the industry. Like in banking or finance, we say we have a pre-sales where we sell the product to a customer, we onboard a customer. Once we onboard the customer, we serve the customer through transactions, through various forms that we accept, nominations, etc., etc. and eventually we cross-sell, and broadly that's the value chain in the financial services, right? But each product has its own nuance, right? Say, let's say if in lending, then it's a credit underwriting. If it is in insurance, then, you know, understanding the actuaries will do their work and understand, you know, what kind of risk to underwrite for you. Each component, right, there is somebody in the market, in the world, trying to use AI to ensure the efficiency gets built. And I think I pick up from Sir, he said that, you know, banking is all about trust. Actually, the entire financial services rides on trust. And I think we will have explainable AIs very soon, which will basically tell you the reason for the rationale applied to take any decision. And yeah, my last word is that RBI has issued a very, very fantastic AI paper, 7 Pillars, it's called. It's available in RBI site and you can Google it out. It's a brilliant take on what is happening in the AI world in the financial services and RBI's view on it. So I really urge you guys to read about it.
Thank you very much. I think, thank you so much to all the panelists, and this wonderful interaction. It has really elevated the quality of the topic was given to us, and I'm sure we've all done justice to that. So let me, on behalf of the organizers, Dr. Ajit and Unique Times, thank all the panelists, Nandakumar sir, Mr. Hari, Bobby, Nikhil, Keshav, thank you all for really bringing out the best here. And on behalf of all the panelists, let me thank the organizers for inviting us here. Ajit gave me a time of 5:10. We are 5:09, so we are bang on time. So thank you all very much for being here.
Manappuram Finance Limited presents Unique Times Conclave, powered by Federal International Chamber Forum, Alcazar Watches, DQ Watches, DQ T-shirts, DQ Soap, an event by Pegasus Global Pvt Ltd.